In today's video, we're going to talk about my favorite fonts and how I use them.
Dreadlabs.
What's going on, everyone? My name is Tom from Dreadlabs and I've been a graphic designer for over a couple of years now. And as you can see, if you're a long-term subscriber of mine, I'm in a completely new office where I work from. And this is where my day-to-day operations and my video recordings will be going on from now on. Anyways, that's not why you click on this video, probably because you are curious about my favorite fonts and how I use them in my designs. I'm not sure for all graphic designers, but for me personally, I don't have one favorite font. I have a lot of different fonts, and in this video I would like to highlight 5 of those. So without any further ado, let's dive straight into the video. So the first font I want to talk about is called Aeon-09. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly, but it's a font by Hyde Foundations. Hyde is probably one of the most underrated type foundries around here, and they do have some of the most unique fonts in the scene right now, and they're also really affordable. As you can see on the screen right now, Aeon-09 has a really distinct look made out of tapered thin lines. As you can imagine, this font works really well with a lot of my designs in my style, and I've used it more than once on my channel so far. My favorite way to use this font is to combine it with a sans-serif typeface and display both of those fonts in the same place, but then intertwine them a little bit, which makes for a really cool display effect. So the example artwork you're seeing on the screen right now is an unused artwork I did for Ricky West and a label that I work for called Seeing is Believing. That reminds me, I am open for commissions, so if you do want to work together and you want me to design your next album cover, check out my portfolio website at studio.dreadlabs.net or hit me up through my email. So the next font is called Square by Ono Typeco. Ono Typeco is a font foundry, and I think pretty much all of their fonts are available on Adobe Fonts, so if you have a Creative Cloud subscription, you automatically get access to this font. It has a ton of different varieties, as well as 3 different styles per weight: normal, italic, and Cilati, I don't know. So it basically looks like a more refined version of the italics versions. And this font can work as a paragraph font or a body text, but also works great as display fonts. Something that I really like about this is because of the different variations, you can actually intertwine them a little bit during one word that you're typing out on the poster. During my Creatober challenge that I finished last month, I used this font I think 3 times, maybe even more. But on screen you're seeing some examples of how I use this font. Particularly the coffee poster that I did is where you can see that I use the different variations of the font in combination with each other. Alright, so the next font is called Graveblade, and it's also available on Adobe Fonts. Basically, if I do not have the time to do it by hand, this is my go-to metal band font, if that makes sense. It's really chunky. I'm not sure if it's the actual same font as one of these bands, but it would probably work well with a logo, for example AC/DC or Metallica. I particularly like to use this font in combination with 3D effects. If I put a bevel and emboss on it and then, try to add some grain and make it into a monocolor 3D effect, that effect works really well with this font in my opinion. And needless to say, I've used this font probably since the beginning of Dreadlabs, which is over 3 years now. In the last few months you've seen this font in my Creatober challenge day 22, where I used it on a Gyarados poster, as well as on a ketchup bottle, where I basically made a death metal ketchup bottle design. On the Gyarados poster you can really see that 3D effect coming to life, and I think I've also used this in tutorials before. So before we continue over to font number 4, I have a question for you. Would you like to get access to all of my Photoshop files and Illustrator files? Would you like to get discounts on textures and vector packs? Access to exclusive videos such as how to start your own clothing brand or how to design death metal logos from scratch? You actually can. All of those things I just talked about are available on the Dreadlabs Patreon channel. Whether you're new to the channel or if you've just seen a couple of videos, or if you're maybe a veteran and been around for a couple of years, you might notice that I've been making a free video on YouTube for over 3 years now. A little while ago we passed 400 uploads, so we're well on the way to 500 videos. Most of them are all tutorials, which I will provide for you for free, and if it's up to me, I will always keep doing that. In order to do that, however, I do need some support because creating these videos takes a lot of time, and if I don't have any income with Dreadlabs, I need to get a day job, which results in me not having the time to create these videos for you guys, if that makes sense. That's why I launched the Patreon channel, for a way for people to support Dreadlabs and the cause of giving more and more free tutorials for you guys. Of course, as a thank you, like I said, you can get access to over 100 Photoshop files, over 60 Illustrator files, Cinema 4D files, After Effects files, you name it, a 15% discount in my asset web store, and an exclusive role in the Dreadlabs Discord community server where we talk about design, give each other feedback, ask questions and answer questions, and much more. There's also another tier which is slightly more expensive, but this will give you access to exclusive tutorial videos such as how to start your own clothing brand, like I said. but also beginner tutorials for Adobe Illustrator, designing Y2K ray flyers, and much more. Also, all of the Creatober designs that I showed you earlier in this video, and you've probably maybe seen around on my channel before, all of the project files from those will be available to the upper tier patrons as well. So if you would like to support this random guy from the Netherlands creating design tutorials, there's a link down below to my Patreon channel. Of course, I understand that not everyone has the budget to support me in that way, and that's completely fine, by the way, because leaving a like, comment and a subscribe is free, and it also really helps me out a lot. Commenting on this video particularly, since it will help me in the algorithms. Alright, with all of that out of the way, let's get back into the video and start with number 4. So font number 4 is called Another OS by Suveki. Another OS is a really particular blocky display font which I really like to use in my ray flyers and other designs. Since it's so blocky, it will fit in like rectangle spaces, which is really nice. It also comes with a blocky variation for a more digitalized look or a pixel effect. I've used this font on and off, and two designs immediately come to mind when I think about this font. And the first one is an animated flyer I did a couple of months ago, which is for a fake party called Depraved 2050. And you can see it at the top of the flyer. And you might not see it immediately, but on this poster I did for Creatober, I've also used this font here for a digitalized look. But of course you can see that I distorted the hell out of it. So you don't really see that much of the font there, but those are two designs that comes to mind when I use Another OS by Suveki. If you want to get this font for yourself, I'll put a link down in the description. Alright, on to the final font, which is called ROH-Demit. I hope I pronounced that name correctly. I've been pronouncing it this way ever since I got it. But it's a font by Normalist, a typeface designer from Indonesia. It has a couple of different variations and weights. But my favorite thing about this font is that it has a sci-fi variation. Basically, if you type with this variation, the font will have an industrial, cyberpunk, sci-fi look, if that makes sense. It works really well in posters in my style, of course, as you can imagine. But it's also a really blocky face, which makes it really useful for ray flyers to fill up spaces. A particular design using this font I did was the second day of this year's Creatober, where I did the Neuralink poster. It was a poster with I think 2 or 3 colors in it, and I used this display font as the main title of the poster, as you can see. And even though this variation has a lot of like small bits attached to the letters, it still works really well when you, for example, combine it with a stroke or a subtle bevel and emboss effect. So there you have it, guys, 5 of my favorite fonts and how I use these. If you like this type of content, let me know down in the comments, because I have a lot more fonts I would like to showcase. And if you want to get these fonts for yourself, I'll put a link to each font in the description down below. Also, if you would like to support the channel, like I said, you can become a patron of mine, shop something from the Dreadlabs asset web store where I sell textures, vector packs, fonts and more. And don't forget to leave a like and a comment on this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that before. If you're looking for more inspiration, I highly suggest checking out a video of mine where I talk about design books. With all of that being said, thank you so much for watching. This is Tom from Dreadlabs tuning out, and I'll hopefully see you guys in the next video.